You gotta start the show.
Okay, I have to introduce the whole thing now. This is Grindstone.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to put my sunglasses on for this. Because today I'm reviewing an album. Today is music. Music. And had to get myself together. I gotta buy a new brush because my hairbrush, man, I don't know. My hairbrush is losing hair. Like, how your brush lose bristles? But every now and then it's time to redo it, Time to re-up on the brush game. But my waves are on swim. Beep, beep, lean, 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 lean. Waves on swim. Lean, 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 lean. My waves are on swim. Beep, lean, 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 lean. Waves on swim. Beep, lean, 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 lean. Waves on swim. Beep, lean, 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 lean. My waves are on swim. Beep, lean, 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 lean. Woo-hoo-hoo. Just how I'm feeling. My waves are on swim. What instrument would that be? Little guitar. A little mix on it, a sitar. My waves are on swim. Ooh, ships. About to put out some new music. Matter of fact, right now, I have a new song out featuring Fresh Kim, Pinky Killer Corn, and Garrett Scheider, also known to you as Star Child Jr. He's the main voice of Parliament Funkadelic, just in case you're not know. Seeing, if you think about Parliament Funkadelic, back in the day, used to have a dude wearing a diaper, played the guitar. That was Star Child. Star Child Jr. is his son. He's now replaced him, but he don't wear the diaper. But yeah, so and it's produced by The Mechanics. The Mechanics. So just in case, you wanted to listen to some new music, the song is called What Is It Really? And it's pretty funky. It's funk off in that joint. What Is It Really by Grindstone. Go to your streaming platforms, enjoy it. That's a freebie. From now on, I'm going to lead y'all. Like I said, I'm going to start you shallow. I'm going to drag you deep. I'm going to drag you deep. I'm going to drag you on in deep. Speaking about dragging. Little punch. Little punch monkey punch. The Japanese macaque seems like he got accepted and he's one of the guys now, And he was dragging this little stuffed orangutan that was really like his size, and that was his little comfort toy animal. And it was really a sweet story. But the crazy thing about this story about Punch the Monkey, if you don't know anything about Punch the Monkey, you could look it up. Punch Monkey, whatever. Every now and then I want to punch some monkey. Ow. Ow, 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 ow. But Punch the Monkey, okay, this is the crazy thing about this story, right quick. These macaques, which are a type of Japanese monkey, I'm not sure if they're just Japanese. I'm not sure. But these monkeys are in the zoo. And so in the zoo, they create artificial habitat for them, and they live similarly to how they live when they're human free. However, this monkey named Punch was brought into their cipher, and because it wasn't one of their own, they kind of like pushed him out and kicked his ass a little bit. Well, the irony of that is that cameras were everywhere because it's in the zoo. So we got to see this. And somebody gave Punch a stuffed animal. So then that was cute. The thing now, humans pretty much demonize these animals because the animals were pushing him away and pretty much just cold shouldering him. the Mean Girls Club on Punch, and he got lucky because when the cameras aren't around and this joint is out in the wild, that monkey is leopard food, you know? So the fact that some monkeys turned his back, he's still getting 3 hots in a cot every day. And he has a damn animal, right? So it's a very cute story that he was getting pushed away and then he had to like hug on to his orangutan animal for his emotional support. But if this was in the wild, this fool, he would have been a baby abandoned by his mom and just, he'd have been roadkill. You know, he'd have been vulture vittles. So I think that the way we allot our compassion and our sadness and our concern, it's odd. But you know, even the hardest of the hard will shed a thug tear to little punch the monkey. So I'm glad he got his groove back. And I'm glad you got your groove back watching me for episode 10 something. It might be 103. Episode 103 of Sorry for My Language. Mm-hmm. One more time for the good kind, you know? All right. Noise, and more noise. Yes. Welcome. This is Sorry for My Language. This is my lifestyle philosophy, culture, and music show. I'm Grindstone, and I'm so glad you're here because today I showed up intentionally. I have true, pure, full intentions for everybody who decided to get down with me. And this is how I have fun sometimes. So if you have fun and you feel enriched by listening to me, then you one of them ones. You one of them ones. This show, before I get too far, this show is sponsored by Grindstone Universal. Grindstone Universal is a place where progress is made and truth is revealed. Grindstone Universal is an art-based fashion line. Matter of fact, I'm wearing one of the shirts. Hold up. Let me see if you can see it. Because my waves are on swim. Not sure if you can see it. But if you can, that's that smoke. That's the fisherman. That's the fisherman shirt on grindstoneuniversal.com. Go get yours. You qualify. You're the 8th caller and you qualify. So today, what we're doing, we are going to go over one of the most beautiful things that has happened in 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the Jill Scott album review. Yeah, you just got to let that one, you got to let that clap go all the way out. So one thing that I commonly hear from a lot of people, some are actually avid music listeners, I always hear there's not a lot of good music out. When is some good music gonna come out? Music sucks. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not the case. Now, commercial music is gonna suck more and more because commercial music is pushed by people who have commercial interest. And commercial, inherently in that word, is the word commerce. So when you're dealing with merchandise and more than one person, you have merchandise, and it somehow created the word commerce and somehow created the word commercial. I may quite possibly have just made that up, but for real, I think that is where commerce and commercial comes from. Two people messing with something, or more than one person messing with something, and they commingle, they merchandise, and you have commerce. But regardless, big things popping, small things stopping. What I'm saying is that commercial success, commercial artists, commercial awards often overlook the best item in the market because the best product is oftentimes it's not backed by a major commercial player. So for you listeners out there who want to find good music and you kind of search for it and you get disappointed, I'm here to tell you, you need to search a little harder. But you need to search no further than Jill Scott's album, don't let me mess the name up, To Whom This May Concern. I had a real great time listening to this album over and over and over. It's a new experience every time I peep it. So the first thing that I get from listening to this album, and let me rewind. Jill Scott is the bridge between hip-hop's what do you call it? When you get a chick featuring on a hip-hop song, singing the hook, and that bridge from that to quality R&B to what we now know as neo soul. And now what has revolutionarily come back into R&B. Like she is the person who's the bridge. Jill Scott, there may have been another woman at the time who was an actual singer who rapped or who performed with hip hop groups and who performed in the same vein on her own, but I don't remember who she was because Erykah Badu didn't come out till 97. Yeah, Erykah Badu didn't come out till like 97, I think. So when Jill Scott came out with The Roots, talking about JILLSCO from North Philly. She shut it down. Jill Scott is the first person who I remember taking hip hop on a ride from the native tongue sound to a universal sound that we could all embrace. And her vibe opened us up to listening to D'Angelo. And, we were already used to Tony, but Tony was kind of like the groovy sound that came from classic R&B that started before New Jack Swing, but it still had like the same tempo. Like, we had groups like Guy and things like that where they could sing ballads, but then they could also make songs to make you dance. But it was not as hip hop oriented. Jill Scott came out very hip hop oriented, but still herself. And mind you, at that time in the early 90s, your regular average individual was probably writing a little bit of poetry. Yep, poetry and black people expressing themselves was not rare. What a time, right? You have people writing poetry, selling crack, um,
What?
writing poetry, selling crack, um, moving mean, like, dressing really swell, acting grown up beyond their years, opening businesses, graduating from college, attending college. Um, I mean, just think about it. Early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, you had Spike Lee was like 32 when he did Malcolm X or Do the Right Thing, one of them joints. Like he was a young boy. I mean, 32 is a man, right? And we have to totally accept that. 32, I don't care if you're a woman or a man. If you're 32 years old, you're fully grown. But think about the scale at which he was producing product at that time. Around that same little clip, Michael Jordan he was like 30 or something. He was in late 20s, early 30s. I remember Jordan, he was like 28 in 1990. So, 94, he was like 32. So you had all these people in this late 20s, early 30s stage doing huge, tremendous things. Ice Cube, he was in his mid 20s maybe when he did Friday. So this whole time, the black person represented themselves as everything but a monolith in culture. And Jill Scott was the female voice that made being a woman in this space cool. Because you had Sade, you had Anita Baker. They were very sultry. You had Karen White. I'm not your superwoman. And speaking of the ee-hee-hees, you had Prince and Michael Jackson, but they're like mega stars on some really eclectic, refined shit, So Jill Scott kind of brought it to like I'm down home, I'm your home girl, we cool. And that endeared her to the population who was gonna listen. Like that automatically brought her crowd to her, and it made it real simple for us to digest because she seemed like the homie. She talk about smoking a blunt or something and taking a long walk. But then in that time in the early 90s, it was also a time where knowledge of self, um, there were no cell phones. So your nervous habit might have been reading or writing. And so expression was really original and it was all over the place. And it was one that really embraced learning. As ignorant as things were, as high as the death toll was, people was trying to still learn. A couple hustlers I knew who was really getting cake, it was a flex. They had a subscription to the Wall Street Journal. That was back when people were still throwing the paper. Or, if you lived in a building, you get your paper delivered on your little front mat in the morning. That's where we were. So Jill Scott wrapped all that up in a nice female bundle and brought it to us with a beautiful voice. And we grew with her. Her ability to sing as a trained singer was something that had yet to exist in the hip hop space. I mean, you had several rappers bringing a singer to the mix, but back then, outside of like Nate Dogg, it didn't matter if you could sing or not. Just get on the hook, and just create a melody. Like we weren't really judgy like that. Just sang. You had Mary J. Blige with Method Man on All I Need, but that was a Mary J. Blige song, so she was doing her singing and then Method Man rapped on her singing. So it wasn't like she guest starred on Method Man song. So Jill Scott just brought in this trained singer to the game, and it was not superstarish, it was more down to earthish. And that's actually what made her a superstar. So then if you follow her career, she came out with Beautifully Human, but the album to me, and this is all leading up to how I feel about this album and why I love Jill Scott. Just with every fiber of my musical spirit, I love her. But when she did that, No, it wasn't Who Is Jill Scott. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a live album, and it said 826 plus. Good God. That album had Get Up, Sweet Justice. It just had, she flexed vocal styles on that album, and it was just so it was beautiful. I used to listen to that joint every day. And the thing I liked about music before social media was part of the mix is that people would grow with the music. You know, it wasn't like, what did it do first week? Like, we ain't no damn executives. I don't give a fuck about the first week. How long can I live with it? How long am I living with it? What is my lifestyle with this? How is this walking me through things? You know, so that 826 plus album, that might have came out around 2000 or 99 or something. Damn, that took her to a whole nother world as far as I'm concerned, in terms of how music is produced and how singers sing and how people express themselves. And I just love Jill Scott. And I really appreciate her because I don't feel as if she's ever cheated the game. I've never seen her give a lazy interview, a lazy performance. I never heard a lazily produced song. I just never heard it. Now, through her albums, you hear her going through different phases. Some is more relationship, some is more build herself up, some might be more fun, more whatever, but I've never heard her be lazy. And as an artist myself, I really despise when artists get lazy, whether it's visual, whether it's fashion, whether it's music, however you create. When you get lazy, cookie cutter, you think we already like you enough so you could just take this rep off. I don't appreciate that. And I know you might get your coin, or maybe you don't. But that average product that you put out lasts forever. And it speaks louder for you than probably anything else that you've ever done. You know, so I really appreciate the fact that Jill Scott has never showed up with lazy product. So that brings us to 2026. No, let's say 2025. To whom this may concern, Jill Scott's album. When she leaked that little interview with her singing Pressure, I guess I get it. So much pressure. It just took about 2 minutes of a leak for everybody to be like, uh-oh, buckle up. We about to have a monumental event in musical history because Jill Scott is about to pop out. That's how you know when it's good. That's how you know when it's good. When she just comes out, gives you a nice little 90 seconds, 2 minutes, and everybody's geeking. So February 13th rolled around, Friday the 13th, right before Valentine's Day, and she did her thing. And the one part about this album that makes me, it makes it interesting for me is that whenever music comes out, I try to listen right at midnight. When it drops, I want to be on it in a comfortable space because I know how important it is for everybody else to be first with their take, with their whatever they're doing, you know. Oh, it charted here. It's this many streams. It's that many streams. And then it'll like force the opinion of so many people. And you may or may not know who gets paid to give a positive review. So then some people who you maybe once trusted, you know, you'll hear them say stuff about an album and then you'll believe it and you'll listen to it and you'll be like, but if you hear it enough, that might become a reality. And then you might think that this weak ass J. Cole album, you might think that a weak ass album that gets a thumbs up is really that deal. And it's not, but you don't understand the forces behind it that have people who look like some major people and people who look like randoms in the crowd, um, who are giving it giving it a whatever they're giving it, you like a thumbs up. So you think that this is like organically happening, but it's not, baby Keem. It's not.
You better come strong. You come to the town.
Jill Scott. She shows on this album the power of investing in yourself with your intellect, with your spirit, with your integrity, with your gift, with your craft. It is such a refreshing thing in a time where so many potentially strong, influential females have sacrificed their integrity. Nicki Minaj. They're everything, Sexy Red. They just sacrificed it all for the check. And it's such a bad look. And then it starts an avalanche of followers who want that same attention, because we can't neglect the narcissism that is part of acceptance and part of being judged. So if you're accepted, you're like, hey, I'm popping. Look at this picture. Look at me with all the people who accept me. Now I'm kind of putting this out there so all y'all can like me too. Me. That's it's part of it. And then part of somebody not liking you, it is taking a hammer and breaking the glass on that narcissism that you just tried to build up. So it's this self-image game that we play, and it's self-defeating. But I feel that a lot of people get built up with the self-image that leads them to a very bad, manipulated place. This album is not that. This album is something where there's actually care that's taken. And so when it comes to the midnight listen, I listened to it. I can't think, I was driving or something. And I just listened to it. Better yet, I could say I heard it. But a hear and a listen are different. A listen is when you sit back, and that's really the activity. A hear is more of a skim. I hear it. I hear the flow of it. Okay, I hear. And almost immediately, I realized that this ain't one of them albums you could just rush through and get it. You can't just rush through this and understand. These are the reasons why. Jill Scott's lyricism, her pen as a singer, and then we just found out on this as a rapper, her pen is far too elegantly detailed for one listen and you'd be like, I heard it, I get it. So anybody who came out with like a first week review of the album, you ain't lived with that joint yet enough to get it. It's too many ingredients for you to be like, oh, that's it, I get it. It's too many ingredients. It's almost, it's Bob Marley-ish in that way, where it might take you years to get the stew that's cooking. It just might. And then some people, well, I like it, I don't like it, I don't. Okay, you got a lot of people who do fast food drive-thrus as a way of life, right? The fast food drive-thru type of person, they probably also put ketchup on their steak. This ain't something that you're going to be able to fully even understand. It might take you later in life, and you might have gone through a couple things. You might even learned a couple things. You're like, oh shit, that's what that was about? Like it or not, you might just be like, that's what that was about? So the things that I like about this album in particular, first, I totally respect her accompaniment selection. The people who she chose to have perform and record on this album with her is very meticulous. Trombone Shorty. For those of you all who are unfamiliar with the brass band sounds of New Orleans or just that whole style, Trombone Shorty is a legend, and he plays the trombone. And not many people include the trombone in their sound nowadays. You know, like when you're really off into your horn section, a trombone is for sure part of it. But you might have more saxophone, you might have more trumpet, but you don't have trombone and tuba too often, right? That's kind of one of the things that distinguishes part of the New Orleans sound. But Trombone Shorty is one of them dudes. And when you hear the horns on this album and look at the credits, well, it's for damn sure a legend. And everybody doesn't even listen to enough music to know who they want to select in the horn section. So shout out to you for that, Jill. That was special. Another excellent pick. It's like a draft. Like she was a general manager and she drafted the proper pieces to make the team win. She has Tierra Whack on the album where she's rapping. Where they're both rapping over a DJ Premier beat. Come on, man. FYI, everybody can't do that. Something to feel on her booty too. From the heart. If I was young and rich, I'd marry you, but I'm old and I hate so. So all you cosplaying, I can sing, I wear a dress and I twirl it and people take pictures of me and I'm artsy or whatever. That's cool. We see you on the gram. We get it. But you can't do that. Jill was barred up as a rapper on that song with Tierra Whack. It's called, what's that joint called? It's called Northside. And just rhythmically, her rap cadence is all the way super duper on point. That's not easy to do as a non-rapper. So for me, what it does, it stretches her range, and she just understands music and sound. And so, and she's so beautifully verbose that her linguistics, if a sound needs to go here, she has a word for that count. You know, she's a fucking dictionary set. So her words, her information, everything that she's created herself to be up to this point, it comes out as one. It doesn't seem forced. It doesn't do anything but land right on time. And another thing that I don't like about rappers is when they use predictable phrasing and predictable style. Neither her nor Tierra Whack did that here. And I'm just like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. I be tired of all these. I get tired of female rappers who do bullshit and then people be like, well, she's a female. Like, you can't hide behind that when the mic is on. That'd be some bullshit. And I get tired of dudes rapping who do the same whack shit and then they be like, yeah, but it's a vibe. It ain't no fucking vibe. You need to get your vocabulary up. You need to get your whole personality up. You need to be able, your flower need to bloom better. You know, that's what that is. You just ain't learned enough shit. And you ain't practiced enough. You know, so you've practiced fooling the people and you've practiced imitating somebody else, but you just haven't not got to the point of being one with your voice. And once again, the measure to me of a lyricist or a musician. It's if you say it the way your heart would say it. If it sounds like your heart said it, not like you copied this person's style or this is in now, that'd be that bullshit. So she tore that shit up. But taking it from the top, man, her album is super inspirational. And one of the songs that she let out at first is it's called Beautiful People. And Beautiful People, it's just one of them joints that you could play. It's a big sounding song. I hate to compare it to Step in the Name of Love, but it is. Like, so if you were stuck for this long and at family functions, like, damn, I really want to play some Step in the Name of Love, but you can't play Step in the Name of Love. And then what's that other song, R. Kelly? Oh, I know there is somebody birthday, and I know there is. I'm gonna step the whole night through, step in the name of love. Okay. Every situation is not appropriate to play R. Kelly anymore, right? But that damn remix, legendary. But if you've been in a pickle on what to play at the big functions with family and, more PC people, I get it. Play Beautiful People by Jill Scott. Lyrically, every song has ingredients that will make you better. And it's not corny because that's usually a formula for corny. But this ain't that. And then this is another thing I really noticed. It is instrumentally lyrical. Every instrument in her band placement, in her arrangements, is doing exactly what the fuck it's supposed to do. Like, if you just listen to it and listen to the strings, like listen to the bass off in that joint, they really jamming. Like, that shit is a real jam. It's not just somebody standing in being average. No, they getting after it on every song. So I can really appreciate that, and it's really good to listen to. So this is part of why I'm saying you can't just listen to that joint once or first week and then really start telling me some shit about the album. I understand why you would want to, because now we're like wake and bake, microwave, make it fast, hurry up, spill the beans on me. But some shit gotta simmer like a sweet potato. That shit is gonna be better tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So, Beautiful People, off the back, the production too, really even the song sequencing, the way it's lined up, is really well done. From one song to another, it changes sonically, just in a wonderful way. And so this is something that a lot of you listeners might have misunderstood as well. She got a song called Disclaimer, but it's really like it's an interlude, and it goes into this song called Pay You on Tuesday. So when I first heard the interlude, Disclaimer, it starts off normal, then it starts talking, this sped up. I was thinking that this is just her talking her woman shit. But really, it's her speaking in the voice. I mean, not in the voice. I mean, like voicing the place where a man who she's talking about in the next song, Pay You on Tuesday, would be airing his opinion. So it's kind of like I heard it all before. And this is the dude being totally unaccountable for all the things that he might do to a woman and through a woman. And so it took me a couple listens to even know that she was speaking from a man's perspective. So I thought that shit was just conceptually dope. And part of excellence, part of the ingredients of things is concept plus execution. Her execution is always going to be on point. Every single time, her execution is going to be there. Just from the tonality of her voice, like her relationship with the microphone, how close, how far away, all that shit. Like, you don't just hop in the game and understand how to have a relationship with the microphones in terms of your distancing. She's great with that. Her, like I said, her lyricism, she is a apex writer. So, coming, like I said, like in the early 90s, mid 90s, we writing poetry. And then we writing raps. And then we freestyling. Like, so she got that whole kit right there. If it was basketball, she got the pocket pass. She has the mid range. She could shoot her free throws. She could dunk on you with the left. She could do a solid bounce pass. She got the whole kit. She's been to practice. Everybody can't ball with that person because that person has everything. And it's beautiful. And she has style. That's the X factor. Style. So I'm 100%. I'm into this album right now, right? And part of me was a little bit apprehensive because my hopes were up after I heard that first song, Pressure. And I was like, it ain't no way the album it's gonna let me, she's gonna get lazy. But nope. She didn't get lazy at all. So one of the things in my skim, I saw that Too Short was in there. I was like, damn, what is Too Short gonna do with Jill Scott? These motherfuckers seem like polar opposites. Not through the music, because remember, Too Short would have Sugarfoot from the Ohio Players playing on some of his shit, on his albums. So Too Short has always been with the live music. Music is one of Too Short's best attributes. He understands sound. And that's why we tend to love him. Man, he talks that shit. But like his timing is always superior. That's why he could be on anybody's music from Lil Jon to Biggie to Jill Scott. And it's like soul right there. But I listened to it and it's like a funky ass cut. It's called BPOY. And I'm listening to it and I'm like, damn, this shit is like that. How is Too Short going to double dutch and hop into this? I didn't know. When Too Short comes on, it's not his style that is amazing. It's not even what he says that's amazing, but it's just amazing that it worked. And so I listened to that, I was like, okay, that's cool. But it was kind of shocking because he's talking about pimping and breaking hoes and all that. I'm like, damn, how does it go with that? And why does she want him to talk about that? This is why the first week listen is not good enough. So then I doubled back on that thing a couple of days ago. I'm listening to the whole thing. And I'm like, oh shit, BPOY, it means biggest pimp of the year. And her first verse is about her talking about a pastor and everything that goes on in the church. Biggest pimp of the year. How he's pimping the congregation. Pow. The second verse of hers, she's talking about Big Pharma. Wait, what? Big Pharma? Yeah. And how they pimping on everybody. Making them get more money and dragging everybody through the mud. Well, guess what? That's what a pimp do. Especially like a soulless pimp, So then she's speaking as an observer of this, and then Too Short is coming on as the personification of this. So now if you listen to his verse in BPOY again, just know that you might have affiliated his words with some street shit. Now, put those words in a bubble coming out the mouth of a white man with a suit on talking about he's Big Pharma. Same shit. Put those words in a bubble coming out the mouth of a pastor with a robe on at his Baptist church. Same shit. So I thought that was genius. And I just love the cleverness of it. You know, I just love when a motherfucker's concept hits. I'm like, damn, got more layers than lasagna, you know? And it does. So I fuck with that. But I'm gonna get to it. I think that I think the best song on the album, like the one that just got all the damn pieces and the concept is very, very now and it kind of cuts under the surface. It just gives you everything. It's Pressure. Come on. I'm a society. So much pressure to be just like them. How many of you feel so much pressure to be just like them? I mean, this is a song right now. I think as a parent of a teen or a 20-something or an elementary school kid or a toddler, I think this song should just be playing ambiently throughout your house and car. So they can just soak up the what being just like them can bring about in your world and why you shouldn't do that. So the pressure to be just like them, that song, I mean, just the beat, everything on that shit is a dumb slap. That shit goes crazy. That shit is crazy. As a matter of fact, I want to just play that shit now and just kick back and just enjoy the feels. That's the shit. But that's not my favorite song on the album. What? It's not. It's odd because I think like that's the best song. I mean, in terms of just like I could put this on and I know everybody gonna like it. But my favorite song, whew, my favorite song on Jill Scott's album is called The Math. I don't know what is going on with that song, but that shit makes me want to cry. That song is like ayahuasca to me. Like it pulls up some shit where she's just asserting her queendom and teaching me. And it's teaching me shit that I already know, but it's reiterating. And it's so assertive and regal. And then I got the assignment, you do the math. And that song is the fucking business. I can't get over that shit. I play that song and I be fucking leaning like a catatonic addict out there. I just be fucked up. You do the math. I'll be like, God damn. That shit is a joint to me. That is a spectacular job writing and delivering. And it's also, that's also one of them joints that sounds like that's the voice of her heart that I hear. And when I hear that in a musician or a speaker, I think that's just like a high level of perfection coming from our human species. And whenever I witness that, whether it's a hell of a athlete doing something wonderfully or just anybody in the human department doing something at a very high level, it gives you the chills and it just gives you that feel. But I just feel like she was channeling on that song, and that shit is fucking incredible. So shout out to you again, Jilly from Philly. You do the math. You do the math. You do the math. Damn, I'll be fucked up. I'm going to tell you, it was a couple songs that fucked me up and I can't do nothing about it. You do the math, or the math on Jill Scott's. That's one of them. That's a new one in the bunch. Another one is Going Home by Marvin Gaye. That shit be sticking me in the corpuscles. And another one is 7 Years Old by Lucas Graham. if I put that shit in a playlist, I would just be I'd be a mess. I don't know if I'll be stronger or weaker, but I would be a mess. Those 3 songs, I can't control my emotion when those songs come on. I just be like, oh, I don't know. It's just an injection of the proper mix of emotional steroid in me. And them shits just get me. So I love when an artist does that. I love when an artist can do that and they're being real with themselves. I fuck with that. So yeah, The Mad, that's my favorite song. Now, when you get to The Universe and Lifting Me Up, and then Ode to Nikki, but that's a Ode to Nikki Giovanni, if I'm not wrong. She got Ab Soul on that. Now, for those of you who don't know who Ab Soul is a California rapper who's with TDE. That's Kendrick Lamar, SZA, everybody from that camp. And Ab Soul is very rapidy rap, very lyrical, actually abstract, but he does not shortcut the art of rap. And I'm just thinking like, damn, Jill Scott is a listener, because she could have got fucking anybody on that joint for popularity's sake, and she got somebody who she fucking likes. And she got somebody who's very poetic. So in a song that you're dedicating to the poet Nikki Giovanni, it makes some damn sense for that person to be there. Just once again, a masterful draft pick, executive pick as a music maker to give us the whole picture. You know, so I think that song is great in how she did that. Then you have A Universe and Lifting Me Up. And those songs just kind of go by me like songs, like Jill Scott-ish songs. But let me tell you what I did. It changed everything. I read the lyrics as the song was going, and I was like, oh, she's saying that shit. Damn, she talking that every damn word is supposed to be there. Then I had to go back to the top of the album after reading and listening to Universe Lifting Me Up. I had to go back to the top of the damn album and follow the words on all the songs. It's a totally different experience. So now I'm like swimming in music. And I'm like, damn, to just bust down with the instruments sound like is a whole journey. Then what the music sounds like while it's just playing, that's the whole thing. If I just like want to feel them through the house. Then to read the shit, damn, while it's playing, yeah, did it all. She did it all. Long game, in the paint game, mid-range game. She got it. And there's another song on here where I just peeped something today. Damn. It's either Ode to Nikki or I Say. I can't remember. But, oh, no, it's off the back. Well, she actually does this in a couple of her songs. This is what we all need to be in the habit of doing this daily. Out loud, she is summoning her ancestors by saying their names. That is a practice that's a metaphysical practice. Meta meaning middle, physical meaning here. The other part is not physically here. Metaphysical practice of strengthening your spiritual bond and getting help from those who you revere. Because what I believe is that there's a spiritual contract that is made when you pass on from this physical body. And that spiritual contract is don't fuck with the earthlings. Like, let them live in peace. You'll scare them, right? But if they call upon you, show up in the capacity as a spirit that you're able to show up. It could come as intuition. Some, it could even come as an apparition, but show up when called upon, if you so desire. But if you're not called upon, fall back. So I think that when we call upon our ancestors, recent or distant. Um, we bring a certain level of clarity to this side of the metaphysical on which we live. If we leave it all 100% on this physical side, we're leaving our perception up to our five senses, which are very weak. We can't smell as good as a dog. We can't see as good as a bird. We can't hear as good as a cat. I mean, if it's cold, we could barely feel anything. And if your nose is stopped up, you can't taste anything. If we leave this up to our five senses, we're cooked. We don't have nothing. So we're gonna need some spiritual heightened awareness. And in this album, in certain songs, she calls upon her certain ancestors. And it's a good reminder that it's cool to let that vocal vibration vibrate on out and bring it on back. Because we do that with other shit that might fool around and harm us. We do that with negative self-talk. We do that with gossip. We do that with nonsense. And all that vocalization, it's like a wave. You let it out, it flutters, it hits an object, it comes back. Like vocal sonar and shit. Right? So if you just casting out bullshit, it's gonna be very precise. It's gonna find the bullshit, bow, and it's gonna bring it into your vicinity. If you're talking some higher shit, some higher level business, bam, it's gonna bounce that back to you. So be mindful of your words and respect your spiritual influences. They will affect you on this level. That's some metaphysical business though. But we all deal in metaphysics. Like even when you sleep, you're like half there. When you're dozing off, it's like, oh shit, I was falling asleep and I thought that I was here or there. That's part of it. So it's not so strange. But I really like how she threw that into the game as something that we need to respect about, just respect about our abilities and attributes. So overall, this Jill Scott album, To Whom This May Concern, which is the name of the album, it is a 10-piece. Is something that if you have any issues that you're trying to get through and you want to just get a little boost, let this be the vibration that you start with. Listening to, some of the more negative influences out there, I think that it'll just corkscrew you into your problems a little more. And I'm not saying that this is the key to getting out of your problems, but I know that the good words help. I know that it takes a long time to become Jill Scott. She put a lot into herself and she's giving a lot out. And it's something you can't just wake up in the morning and be. This is time. These are experiences. This is intentional living. This is training. This is a lot of stuff that she's putting, and all you got to do is press play. So enhance your world like that. Play this around your daughters. Shit. Play this around your boyfriend. Let that motherfucker know what he need to be doing. Play this around your, play this album. To Whom This May Concern. And shout out to the women out there who are musically talented and you're not really getting your proper shine in the shadows of these people who are commercially successful. It's okay. Listeners find and listeners listen. All you got to do is keep doing your best. Shout out to Pinky Killicorn. Shout out to Napalm from Hiatus Coyote. Shout out to Cleo Soul. Shout out to Brittany Howard from the Alabama Shakes. It's some dope ass women out here. And shout out to Tierra Whack. There's some women out here who are really doing the proper, perfect work in music. And then I find it to be kind of insulting to the music creator, the music listener, the participant of culture, for people to be like, I like this because everybody likes that. Or for it to be like the automatic play because you're participating in commerce that was generated by somebody who don't even love you, don't even know you. But like the motive of that song or that album or that personality being so big, it might just counter your interest. So to be a listener of music, you are investing your time and oftentimes bringing commerce to the movement that you want to grow. And we can all like everything we want to like, but there's some people out there who are really doing something special. We don't always have to make everything vintage. Everything don't have to be retro. Sometimes right now is the most important part. And I'm happy about that. So if you just needed somebody to tell you on the good foot what it is, Jill Scott's album, To Whom This May Concern, is one of them ones. It's one of them ones. Hang her rafters from the jersey. Hang her jersey from the rafters. Yeah, I'm Grindstone. And look, go to grindstoneuniversal.com. This is me from Sorry for My Language. Peace.